What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
You're listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm just Jeff.
Just plain old vanilla.
Yep.
Vanilla Jeff.
Stealing Joe's line. I don't care.
I don't know. Who cares? He doesn't listen anyway.
I know.
Vanilla Bean. I'm just going to call you Vanilla Bean.
Well, yeah, let's not.
What's going on?
Though. Not much.
How are you?
Great.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I went out and saw a friend of mine's band, a bunch of old fossils.
You saw Fossil on Friday?
Did.
They were awesome.
They were good.
They had 300 some odd people at that show.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we don't need any more criticism from you.
What? What?
Yeah, people don't realize, Jeff and I've played in bands together now for over 12 years.
Yeah.
But I have a little side project that plays every now and then.
Yeah.
And it's called Fossil.
It is.
And the first thing out of Jeff's mouth, it was, you need a second guitar player. Like, how about,
other than that, it was good.
Hey, dude, that sounded great.
It was.
Such a dick.
Either that or a keyboard player. You decide.
No, fuck that. No, that's more people you got to pay. Yeah. Hey, we've got a good show for you today.
Yes, we do.
This show is kind of bad to the
bone.
Kind of bad to the bone.
Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, I was trying to find a way to work that in all week. I'm going,
This is going to be a real gear jammer.
Such a dick. For those of you who don't know it, this gentleman spends some time each year, not too far from us up in Plattsburgh. Mm-hmm. But we've been very excited. He's a friend of our friend Rev Jones. So without even further ado, we want to welcome to the Ultimate Ears studio. Yes. You can hear your own tears
with Ultimate Ears.
Mr. Bill Blough.
Blough. Nice job.
Blough.
Hi, Bill.
There you go. Hey, fellas. What's happening up there in the winter world?
Exactly.
It's a terrible place. It's a terrible place, Bill.
Yeah. Yes, keep it. Yeah, let's just keep it between us.
Yeah, right. So
it's quiet and it's a good place to get away to.
That's right. And they have black flies the size of black olives.
Yeah.
That is. We don't want to talk about that.
No.
Yes, that is true.
Yep.
That is the downside up there, but it isn't going to be a dust storm like it will be here in Texas tomorrow.
Oh, no, jeez.
And it gets rain, which this part of Texas never does.
Right,
so.
right.
Well,
do you have a thing about living toward borders? I'm just you got the Canada, you got Mexico,
right.
I got it covered. I tell you that, and. I see the news about the southern border when I'm in Plattsburgh, and then I come down here and I go, where's the problem? I don't see the migrants. I don't see all the stuff that's going on.
Right.
And I actually hear more about the problems up on the Canadian border when people were trying to leave. They were abandoning their cars and jumping across the ditch into Canada to get out.
Jeez.
And now I think it's reversed.
Yes.
But,
well,
I think it pays not to watch the news because it just gives you
certainly does.
Just gives you heartburn.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll call it that.
It's just heartburn. Yeah. So for people who don't know, everybody, Bill is the bass player for George Thorogood. He's been with him since 1976.
And the Destroyers.
And the Destroyers. I'm sorry. And the Destroyers.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it is an original member of the Destroyers, which is, I think that's awesome. So.
Well, very close to it.
Well,
it took them a year and a half to.
They don't know.
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
Okay.
We're like the news.
Yeah.
George, wouldn't start the band until Bill was officially in it. That's Yeah. Put that on Blabbermouth.
That'll win points.
So, Bill, you've been playing now. Bass always been your instrument, or have you played anything else? Or
well, as a kid, I think since everybody that saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan all wanted to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I badgered my parents into getting a guitar. and then realized after I got a 4 or 5 chords under my belt, hey, there's nobody playing bass.
Right.
There's a lot more opportunity for a bass player than a guitar player that only knows 4 chords.
And there really is. I mean,
yeah,
that's no lie.
No, even still today, it's like
you can't find a bass player. Throw a dime, you can hit a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then find a guitar player that knows more than 4 chords.
Right.
But then again, on the other side, the flip side of that, who needs more than 4 chords in a rock band and what we're doing?
Right.
And hey, we've done fine with the songs with 1 chord.
Right. Right.
So we'll take it.
You know, we're honored to have you, Bill, because, you know, not only does your history with the band, but I mean, some of the music that you've put out is so iconic. You know, and to be around and you know, kiddingly, Bad to the Bone. I mean,
right.
Everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
You could mention 15 Jelly Roll songs I've never heard of, but when you hear the name Bad to the Bone, you think, you know.
You just know.
You hear the George Thorogood and the Destroyers, you're like,
right.
Boom, you go to some iconic place, and we can all remember jamming out to that as musicians at one time or another, you know. So we're thrilled to have you on. Just want to hear a little bit about your history.
Well, speaking of Bad to the Bone, I remember when George started to put it together, and he had the riff, and he started to come up with the words and was looking at a title. And I think this was in 81, 82 era, and we were starting to get fairly successful, and we were working a lot. And he came up with this idea for the song, and I think he would ask me 5 times a day, have you ever heard Bad to the Bone? Have you ever heard Bad to the Bone? I said, well, it kind of sounds familiar, like it's a saying and an expression. But he would say this over and over again. I think probably for a month and a half. Have you ever heard Bad to the Bone? What does Bad to the Bone sound like?
Right.
And we're like, we'll finish the song and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, he was on to something, but he didn't want to step on somebody else's thing if it was already out there. And I guess the people that he knew were us in the band, so he would ask us constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it became an iconic song. Thank God, because he asked about it enough times.
Yeah, right.
You know, even the iconic, you know, the stutter. You know, it's like you see people. I go out on the weekends and you go to karaoke or something, and somebody's up there doing it, and you're like,
nope.
This must have been one of those songs that the guys were like, yeah, this is. You know, the beginning, and then by now you're like, oh, good, we get to do this one again. You know,
this is on the set list again.
It's always on the set list. I can't remember ever a show since that song got released and got popular that it wasn't included.
Right.
And we've always, in its day, we were doing it on TV as, you know, that was our song.
Right.
So it's and we used to keep it in the show, but not as the end of the show. We kept it in the middle portion of the show, so that other things would happen afterwards, and it wouldn't be the peak and end the show. So, how
many times have you been out with the family or whatever, and there's music and somebody's playing, and you just happen to be out, and somebody starts jamming that song? Do you
on the radio or a band?
Or just a band playing out? Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. I haven't counted it.
I mean, does it? Well, I mean, does it? It's got to put a piece in your heart and be like, yep, here we go. There's a cover band's doing it.
Yeah, it's great. It's extending the life of it, you know.
Right.
Other people are doing it.
Or are you the guy who sits there and goes, "Oh, no, not that note."
No,
Wrong note.
I don't correct them. If it's that bad, I'll leave. I'll do something. I'll go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm not gonna crush anybody's party.
I hear you.
Hey, by the way, the guy sitting over table 6, the guy with the cheese sticks.
Right.
Yeah,
that was him.
That was him on the bass. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
So, did you grow up in a musical family?
No, actually, my parents did not profess to be musical at all, and they were of the World War II generation, and their music was definitely not my music. But at that time, in the 50s and 60s, music, there was classical music, there was big band music and the swing music, and then what was popular music was kind of a blend of everything. I mean, country was in it, a little bit of R&B, the pop things that were going on. It was all Billboard 100 chart. Yeah. It wasn't split up into all the things, the categories that we have now. And so on the radio, my parents would listen to the radio, and so you would hear all this wide selection of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't. It's different than it is now. I think as time went on, like when pop music became more popular and with AM radio, you would find areas of your local stations would have the broad spectrum of things, and then there are these clear channel stations that would come on in the evenings. Like there was WKBW, there was this Canadian station, CKLW maybe. There was stations out in the West. I used to get a bluegrass station that came on, but you could only get it at night.
Right.
So these stations were at the beginning of more specialized shows. And I remember that when the Beatles hit and the Stones and the British invasion, these stations were the ones that were starting to plug that kind of music. So you were getting more directed into that. And it was because they could boost their power at night, and then you could hear it. And because it wasn't where we were in a fairly rural area, that was exciting to hear this stuff.
Right.
And I think that's what kind of helped things to split off like that.
What a lot of people don't realize is AM radio.
Yeah.
You had after I think it might have been 9 o'clock, you went from either directional to omnidirectional. Right. But you have broadcast journalism in your background too. So So once you went omnidirectional, you went you were a couple 100 miles in either direction versus during the day.
Right.
Yeah, because during the day they had to keep it focused because so many aircraft would base their whole flight pattern based around following AM signals.
Oh, I did not.
And then at night, there wasn't as much flying. The skies weren't as congested at night, so they let you.
Yes.
And I used to run. I was a board jock for an AM station when I got out of college, and sometimes you forget.
Yeah. Exactly.
To turn it off because I went overnight, so in the morning I was supposed to go directional.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you're bleeding into my station. And I'm like, oh shit, click.
My fault.
Right.
Yeah. So.
How about that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
We taught you something
because there would be stations in Wilmington, Delaware, that you couldn't get at certain times, and like the kids. Like George and Jeff living up there would listen to those stations. I couldn't get those stations.
Right.
And then at night, I would get like these, like the KBW station. There was a West Virginia station. There was an Indiana station that were like miles and miles away. But somehow the power got turned on and bang, we could get these stations. So I'm not sure how it worked, but
I think just
influenced the youth.
Oh yeah. I mean, you figure so many generations have been directed by their music. You know, the 50s and the 60s and the freedom that was starting to come around, but you know, Elvis and those guys breaking away for things, and versus nowadays where, man, there's a lot of garbage out there. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of
not lying.
But I'm finding kids are getting back to real music again.
Yes,
I'm finding a lot of even kids in this area into modern country.
Yeah,
blues. Mm-hmm. Not as much jazz as much now, but blues.
Right.
80s rock is big with the kids now,
which is odd.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we're finding the trend even on our show when we have somebody that's played for a while, that the kids are going back to it. So that's a great thing to see. Because so much of society is built around, you know, cultural thing, and music is one of the most versatile things you can listen to. So that's why we're proud to do what we do here.
Well, keep it going, because it's the parents that grew up on us are bringing their kids and grandkids to the shows.
Yeah.
Which it's extending our career and hopefully enlightening the kids a little bit.
Right.
We're finding more and more kids that we talk to that want to start getting back to picking up a guitar.
Right.
Play the drums, you know, learn how to sing.
Play bass and whatever else.
There's a lot of talent out there. And then, like we mentioned Taj Farrant earlier, I mean, that kid's phenomenal. And when you see a young kid, can you imagine what your career could have even been if we all had the internet, YouTube, and all that stuff, being able to promote ourselves and push ourselves as much as we wanted to, not be held tight by the record label and the radio stations, and you know,
I don't know, it's different than it was when we came up. It might have been harder, but maybe with the access that so many people have now to create music, I think initially that created a damper on people wanting to play instruments. They could do so much with sampling, and now have gone past that and are now trying to go back and pick up actual instruments again,
right?
Which is a good thing. The promotional aspect of what you can do online is to me is mind-boggling, and I know people that do it, and I can't. I don't have the focus. Maybe a lack of drive for that to do all that self-promotion like that. But you're right. The avenue for doing it is there now that it wasn't before. Before we got in the car, we drove down to Baltimore. We knocked on the, if we had a phone number, we called the club owner. We came in and we auditioned.
Right.
We slept on the floor in the bar. And we're lucky if we could line up 2 or 3 bars to go to on such a trip. And that's how we kind of progressed. I mean, I don't know if kids would do that today. I mean, it's a different world.
No.
They don't have to, because they can put it up on YouTube
and
send out a link.
Yes.
I
think the only place that I know that does audition like that is the Gig.
Yeah, casinos. Yeah,
casinos. I mean, we have the Turning Stone. If you want to play the certain club, they get 4 or 5 bands in one afternoon.
Do a showcase.
And do a little showcase.
For free. And then,
really?
they pick.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
But, it's amazing to find a local band, write their stuff, produce it, create a video, do everything themselves with very little cost.
All from this.
Yeah, all from their phones and stuff. And then throw it up on Spotify or Apple Music and start making money.
Yep.
No record label, no nothing. It's like no one's holding back the financial reins, and no one's saying, if you piss the record label off, you're not going to get another deal. Nowadays, they're like, yeah, so?
And
what's your point?
What's a record label?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing. And then go down the road of Spotify, which I'm reading up on, and like, oh my God, this is stuff I can't even imagine.
Right.
Trust me.
Where we came from was just going out and finding the gigs. I mean, George was charming as hell, and would get up and call club owners. We'd go down and audition, string a few of them together. We had help from other local bands. The Nighthawks from DC were very instrumental in breaking us going south. There were people in Boston that helped the band get going up in that direction. So we were stringing gigs together from Delaware, going north to Boston and going south to DC, Baltimore, DC, and on down. And it was other bands that helped us. And I have to say the Nighthawks were number one for that. And they still do that with bands.
That's cool.
So, that's awesome.
And they're still going. They've been around probably as long as we have. So,
no kidding.
Yeah.
What's one of out of those venues that you played back in the day? What's one of the most memorable ones that you knew if you were playing there it was going to be just a good time?
Oh well, on the East Coast in our area, the Anvil Inn was a bigger room. It wasn't particularly it wasn't a showcase room. It was a bar, and we usually did Monday nights or Tuesday nights there. But it was a fairly big stage and had I think it had a sound system. I can't remember. But when we got to the point we were packing it, he would put us on the weekends there, old Anvil Joe, and the fact that he said, you guys draw women and that brings the dudes in and they drink a lot of beer, you're hired.
Oh, nice.
One Friday, they equated it to beer sales, and that's
right. Sure.
And because we got them lathered up and they drank beer, I guess that
there you go.
I think one of our big aha moments in that, we were in California for the first time in 1977, and we had gotten booked to play at a benefit concert and it was in the afternoon at this place called the Keystone Palo Alto, which had been an old supermarket and turned into a club, and they had a real sound system. Apparently it had been a Santana's touring system at one point.
Oh, wow.
And a real stage and a real setup. And we were doing an afternoon set there for this charity. At the same time, there was a wedding was loading in as the gig we were doing was winding down. And the wedding listened to one set of their band and said out and hired us.
Oh wow.
And we ended up playing the wedding, and it was probably the largest gig we'd ever done. I think maybe 300 people or 400 people. It was like huge,
right?
And we went back a few other times afterwards on our own name and booked in there, and it was always a great gig. But that was like a turning point when we realized, hey, we got something here.
Right.
They fired the wedding band and hired us.
Yeah, that's great.
What if that couple's still married?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I can't for the life of me remember. I can see them, but I have no idea what their names
I could probably guarantee that they won't be listening to this, Bill.
So it's
unfortunate.
You never know.
You never know.
Well, if you were the folks that got married during that night,
please get a hold of us.
Send us a postcard.
Yeah. Send us a postcard.
Postcard.
Yeah.
It's funny on Facebook. There's a Facebook page dedicated to the Keystone clubs. There was 3 of them. There was a Keystone Palo Alto, a Keystone in Berkeley, and a Keystone in San Francisco, which we had played all 3 of them.
Any pictures of you guys playing on there?
I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I've only been following it for a couple of months. I just stumbled on it.
Okay.
Said, oh wow! Because there was a picture of a couple of the owners that I hadn't seen in decades.
Right.
Said, right. Freddie,
Right.
So that was cool.
Well, if we find the picture,
dude, yeah,
it's going to be here right now.
Yep.
If nothing showed up, we didn't find it. We'll do that.
Sorry.
in editing.
Yeah.
We'll put the picture up. So if you see it, we found it. If not, and as Bill finds photos and he sends them to me, and I'll just start throwing them in here. Remember when we talked about this?
If you don't mind, I will.
That's great.
You may end up on the loop because I just periodically looking for something. I'll find something else and go, oh, send it on.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
The guys in the band are like, oh God, you found that?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, your road crew keeps it interesting because Rev and the boys are videotaping stuff. I don't even think it's even called videotaping anymore, but are recording things and they're putting it on Facebook, like the behind the scenes kind of stuff. And
Tonight on Crew.
I watch it. I think I think
it's great.
It is, and it's kind of opening the eyes
because I love the behind the scenes stuff that not everybody gets to see.
Right.
Well,
that's how we started this, Bill, is we said just when we have people that have gone on and done national stuff, and when they're back in town and we're sitting around a bonfire or campfire in the backyard, and people are asking these questions. They want to hear these stories that no one will read about. And we said that's a podcast right there.
Yeah.
So that's learning some of the things, and like I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite venue you've ever played? What,
or do you have one?
Yeah.
Well, outdoors, I would say probably Red Rocks.
Yeah.
Is one of the.
I hear that a lot. Yeah, we hear that a lot.
There's the Gorge in Washington State is a great outdoor one. And then you got. And these are the big places, and then there's like the Pine Knob, which has been there forever.
I've heard that. Actually, I've heard of that place.
Pine Knob.
It's an amphitheater outside of Detroit.
Yeah,
it's a great one. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Detroit,
speaking
of Detroit, have you played the Machine Shop?
No.
Really?
Well, I don't know of it. I don't know what size it is to where we are.
Wow. The Machine Shop is actually pretty well known. You're lost too, aren't you?
No, I'm just sitting here. I'm watching you dig yourself a big hole.
No, I was just No, I was just curious if you
have you ever played there? No. Well, let me keep talking about it. Still no.
No, I haven't heard of that. I'm trying to. Don't hate me. Keep talking. It actually, so my brain is so pickled that sometimes it comes around to that. But actually, I don't know that place. I mean, when I think of Detroit of the old days, I think of like Cobo Hall because of Jay Giles doing their thing there.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to think. Where did we play in Detroit in the old? Well, we played this crazy little gig, the Punch and Judy Theater in Grosse Pointe with Ellen McAway, and it was really embarrassing because they really didn't like her, and we did, and it kind of got like, this is very uncomfortable. Why are they doing her? But that was like in the trio days, in like the 78, 79 era. And then I can't remember now where we played an outdoor festival about a year and a half ago there. downtown, but I can't remember the clubs. I mean, it just stuff
Yeah.
like that comes in.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were about to ask something.
I am.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good, Bill. Who was the first national act that took you guys out?
Well, I guess the Stones doing the Start Me Up tour when Bill Graham,
that little band,
that little band,
our agent in San Francisco, and offered us the first 2 shows in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the first show, he had offered us the 3rd show in Buffalo, and it kept expanding, and we ended up doing, I think, 18 shows.
Wow.
In the U.S. on that, and then we did 7 or 8 more in Europe.
Jeez.
Was that the point in your career, and you're saying, I've made it. We've made it.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of things of hanging on for dear life at that point, because at that point, that was 1981. We hadn't had Bad to the Bone yet. We had the tour with the Stones. We had the 50-50 tour going on where we did all 50 states and 50 nights.
Jeez.
Intertwined with that, and probably could have done more Stones shows if we hadn't already booked that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and I believe we also went to Australia and New Zealand as well. Wow. The first time.
Oof.
So that was 1 year. So,
man, your passport, you must have had so many pages in that thing that stamps that you probably got a whole dozen of them hanging up somewhere.
I hope it's somewhere. It might be worth something. I don't know. But we did that, and then in '82, with Ian Stewart had started watching us play with the Stones and came out and started sitting in with us.
Okay.
So then, and this is also the time George had started working on Bad to the Bone, and we go into Canada, do a little pre-recording tour, take Ian with us, who's used to touring with the Stones, now slumming with us in the checker cab, driving from city to city up there until we go into the studio in Boston and put down the Bad to the Bone album.
Mm-hmm.
And that was '82.
Wow.
And then went on to do the shows with the Stones in Europe. That was pretty big.
Jeez,
that's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Who was it? Bill Dates? Was it Bill Dietz?
Dietz
that we had on the show. He did a lot with the Stones. He was like
a rigging guy,
rigging tour manager. Production manager.
Production manager.
Yeah. But
man, those guys worked.
Oh,
and they had 2 teams because they had 2 complete stages that leapfrogged across the country. So when they did Philly, they had another stage being built in Buffalo. When they finished that and the Philly show, the stages went from there to, I think, Colorado. I mean, they had 2 sets going everywhere because it took like a week to build everything.
Oh, no kidding.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So, and plus they had to get double the sound and everything else for them.
That's man.
So
we try to open the eyes of our listeners that think I want to be part of the music industry, but I don't play anything. But electrical, carpenter,
everything. I mean,
seamstress, anything you can think of, you're going to find it on tour. Yeah. I mean, when you have people like Gaga going out with 135, 140 people on her crew.
Yeah, 10 tractor trailers behind her,
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to the business that and they say, well, why are they charging $100 a ticket?
Well,
when you've got a lot of people and, logistics isn't cheap anymore.
No.
Shipping stuff from one side of the country to the other is not cheap.
Right.
I mean, how long since I can remember, you get to a bar, you go to see a band, $5.
Yeah.
$5 cover to go into a bar.
To go to a bar.
It's still the same way.
It is.
That hasn't gone up. They're not saying it's $30 to get in to see a local band. Some try to do that, but not in the norm. It's an industry that kind of stuck.
Yeah, well, if you look at how much does it cost to go to a football game, NFL game,
mm-hmm.
And so people have the mindset that a rock and roll show or a musical performance should be nowhere near that price, but it's still a huge endeavor to put on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what production costs are for a football game, but it's still, you've got to rent the stadium. You still got all those expenses.
Security guards.
Yeah.
Medical.
Yeah.
Emergency electrical and anybody, they're all on staff. There's, my God, we went to, my cousin teaches color guard for high school kids.
Yeah.
We showed up at the show this weekend. I was so thrilled. And I want to kill myself.
Attaboy.
But we pull up, there's sheriffs driving around. They're all getting paid big money. You got the ambulance sitting out front. I'm like, what's somebody going to bump their head on a flag?
Yes.
Doesn't matter. These are all costs.
Mm-hmm.
So when you wonder why you're paying the price to get it, now they charged $16 a head to get into a high school color guard thing that I didn't even have kids in, just to go watch my cousin teach. If she's listening, that was her birthday present. Jesus Christ. So I'm texting her, you owe me. Yeah. But I mean, these things cost money. Yeah. So let's stop bitching and let's pay and stop worrying about the cover charge to get in to see a local band or whatever. It's ridiculous.
And at the same time, it is expensive, and people they have to decide what they're going to go spend their money on. So you're in a band, you're not only competing with other bands, you're also competing with basketball, football, baseball,
sure,
all the other events that are out there. And theater. People like to go to the theater, and it all costs money. And so that's why one of the reasons the ticket prices are high.
Yeah.
And I think also, I think in rock world and music entertainment, people just don't see they don't equate it to the same as football and baseball and stadium sports.
You're using the same stadium that those other folks use.
Yeah.
There's still head count that has to take care of what happens.
Yeah.
It's not.
And then on the other side of the coin, you have the fact that everything's consolidated. So there's 3 booking agencies three promoters in the country. The venues, a large part of the venues are all owned by few people. So
right.
There is a issue of not lack of competition. There's what's that?
Almost a monopoly.
Monopoly, excuse me. There's a monopoly thing going on as well. So it's tough, and it's hard for fans, I think, to figure out.
You don't want to throw any of those companies under the bus, but it's hard to be a live nation nowadays.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
Now, granted, you go and you see tickets going for $600, $700, $800 each. Then I sit back and go, come on, guys.
And there again, it's when you have a monopoly like those 3 promoters, they're looking at the tickets across the whole spectrum, sports,
sure,
entertainment, and they can massage it the way they want. And then you have this whole secondary market, which is also putting the squeeze on it. So we try to make a living, pay our people well, and try not to gouge the fans.
Right.
And it's tricky when you're dealing with promoters that are buying like 7 shows, 10 shows, or even just one show. We try to work with the independent people that we started with way back. There are a few left that haven't sold out, and some of their markets get pushed further away. They're in the smaller towns, and we try to work with them and try to keep it so that they make money and we make money. But it's very tough when you get into the major markets. There's just places that we don't have control over. We can't say, oh, you can't charge more than $25 for a ticket. Well, the promoter isn't going to book you because they're not going to make any money.
Right. Yeah.
Right. In the major markets.
Bill, what size room are you guys going after now?
Probably 1,200 to 2,000 seat on our own.
Okay.
Is the general size. And then another part of that whole equation is the casino business, which has infinite amounts of money, smaller venues, and high state-of-the-art technology, which is great.
Yep.
And so they can throw a lot of money in, but they don't. You're there to bring bodies into the casino.
Right.
So they don't want opening acts. They want you prompt. Get in, get out, and send them back to the floor to pull handles.
Well, when we played the casinos,
oh man,
they would like, you will take 3 breaks or 2. You'll take 2 breaks. You'll have 3 sets, and we'd be like, we'll play all the way through. We don't. Nope. No, we want you to take breaks, and we hope you have a lot of people show up for the first set.
Right.
And they don't care if they're there after the second.
They don't care
set, because that means they're wandering around the casino.
Right, exactly. So that whole casino concept has helped sustain us, but for the overall industry, I don't think it's done favors, because they can offer stupid amount of money for acts in places that local clubs and small venues in the towns can't afford or match. So you may be in, I can't think of a city off the top of my head that's an example, but there was a great venue you played years ago and always did well, but the casino on the edge of town can offer 3 times the amount of money.
Right.
And so you have external forces like management or booking agencies and so forth that are saying, well, we only get this percentage if you play in this venue you love, but you play over here for this casino and everybody makes more money. And it's like you have to balance that out too.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys do fairs and stuff too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the fairs are all handled by all the major
promoters,
booking or promoters. They've seen that, and they go into the fairs and say, we can run the whole thing for you, and this is what we'll pay you.
Right.
Or we do all the state fairs, and it's just amazing how, and they have 10 days of big acts every night in some of the major state fairs. I mean, we've done New York, we've did in Syracuse.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
We've done that a couple times in recent years, and it's just
it's such a great turnout for it.
Yeah.
It's a good event, but it's not the clubs,
right?
But and they charge too accordingly for the good seats there,
right?
So
have you
as long as the fans are happy, and feel like they've gotten their money's worth, that's all we can do. We got to give them the show.
What's your feeling on you know exactly where I'm going with this, don't you? What's your feeling on a band, let's say, that has no original members?
Here it comes.
Going out and drawing these big checks and they're like, it's just a brand at that point.
Well, and that's where this country's gone to. People complain about the United States doesn't make anything anymore. We don't build anything here. We don't manufacture anymore. Yeah, we do. Brands. We build brands here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what this country does.
Yeah.
They don't get their hands dirty building things. They make a brand. They upload it on the internet. They've got a brand, and the evidence is all around you. I think it's a trick on the people,
mm-hmm.
but surely some of these bands go out and the people know that it's only one guy, or maybe it's, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the 60s bands. Somebody was just here in El Paso, and was it the Four Tops? And my neighbor went to see him and said they were great. And he said, "There's one original guy
propped up in the corner."
No, well, no, he's part of it and doing his thing, and it's legitimately that. Everybody that went to see it was of that generation, and they loved it.
Yeah,
right.
And so, am I going to say, that's a ripoff? Ripoff is in the eyes of the beholder, I think. I mean, I saw something about just a name in a band. I mean, there was what was the Beatles tribute thing that was out years ago?
I don't.
I do, and I can't remember the name.
I knew a guy that was he owned that franchise of it and did it around. He was in Philadelphia, and he was the John character.
Right.
Okay.
So and he owned it, and I don't know what his arrangement was with the guy. He hired the band, and they did the whole show. So
look at the Led Zeppelin tribute band. Get the Lead Out. Those guys are all over the country. They're selling out big venues like it was Led Zeppelin playing.
Yeah,
they sound pretty.
They sounded really good.
Close,
though.
Yeah, there's a Fleetwood Mac one that came through Plattsburgh. And I think that Led Zeppelin one came through.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there.
Mike Stanto.
If they're not, if they're a tribute. They're not the real.
They're not the real deal,
right?
The real deal is not no longer.
But here's this is what leads right up to. So if you look at somebody like Foreigner, who has really nobody left in the band,
I just saw that
zero.
What's his name is going to go? They're doing a tour in
Lou Gramm.
in South America. Yeah, and Lou Graham's going to be replacing the singer for those runs down there.
Well, he finally got into the rock and roll or the heavy metal Hall of Fame.
No, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they're calling it
Foreigner.
They're calling it that he is a guest vocalist. Well, how are you a guest vocalist of your own band?
Don't know.
See, that's the part that's kind of squirrely to me, is the fact that they're so contractual things.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a show on the Legends of Rock cruise.
Okay.
And he was on that, and it was him, not the band.
Right.
He sounded great. He deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Bill, do you enjoy the cruises?
No.
No.
I'm not a cruise kind of guy.
Okay.
They pay well.
Mm-hmm.
The fans seem to really enjoy it, especially that Rock Legends one. We did the first one, and it was us, ZZ Top, and I can't remember the Outlaws and some other people, and it was their first one, and so it was very unorganized and a lot of problems. I mean, by the last night, every piece of PA equipment was blown up.
Oh, wow. Whoops.
It was pretty bad. But we did it again last year or the year before, and it was much better. They had it much more organized, and things were a lot smoother.
Well, there's so many of them now. There's so many of them.
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this time, the boat just went out and went up and down the coast. It didn't go. I think it went to Coco Key, which is a sandbar,
right?
Okay.
That the cruise line owns, and we did the Keeping the Blues Alive thing that Joe Bonamassa does, and that was actually pretty interesting because there were up and coming bands that we saw that were very we hooked up with them and used some of them later on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. The cruise is
just not for you.
No.
Yeah.
I would rather be. I'd rather be somewhere with a palm trees and a reclining chair and a club soda, absorbing the breeze and not doing anything else.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're trapped
and
too.
I'm not a big fan of buffets.
Right. Well,
okay.
Well, you're on the cruise and you're trapped. Your fans are there, and they see every place you go, and they're like, "Hey,
I know that guy."
Yeah.
We made a.
It wasn't too bad the last time. The first time I was pretty paranoid, but after that it was not so bad. It was better organized.
We had fans of the show.
Oh yeah.
Out of Canada,
mm-hmm.
and I was down in Florida at a
I remember
mini
this.
golf thing,
I remember this.
And these guys are behind it, no big deal. And I'm listening to them talk, and they're Canadian, and you could hear, being from this area, we could tell the difference. So I said, "What are you guys doing all the way down here?" They were from way up, up, just below the North Pole, up now, and they said, "Well, we're here for the Monsters of Rock."
The Monsters of Rock cruise.
Monsters of Rock cruise. And I said, "Oh, no kidding." And I says, we just had a guy from the band Overkill, the drummer from Overkill, on our podcast.
Yeah.
And he says, "What's the name of your podcast?" I said, "The Good, the Band, and the Ugly." And he goes, "I listened. I heard that episode." And I, at the time, my girlfriend's like,
"Whatever."
No, you didn't. You didn't hear his podcast.
You're just saying that.
You're full of shit.
Right.
Then he picks up his phone and he shows, sure enough, last listened to podcast was ours.
Was ours.
Wow.
So with that, I said, "You know what? I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to call the drummer from Overkill."
Yep.
And tell him that fans of our show are going to be. He had just done our show a month before.
Yeah.
And that you can see if you can meet him. Oh my God, that'd be great. So we did. We hooked it up. I get a text halfway through the cruise from said drummer.
Yeah.
That said, "Hey, not a problem helping your fans out, but didn't know I had to be their best friend for the whole cruise now." And I was like,
they latched onto him
followed him everywhere, the whole cruise.
Oh yeah.
So we will never do that again.
Nope. Not a chance.
I feel bad.
Yeah.
But holy crap, man. So yeah, I don't know. You can't get away from it on a cruise. You can go in your dressing room and you're gone to the next venue, but not on a cruise.
No.
So
no.
Yeah.
And the buffet scene is like.
Well, they're not what the cruises aren't what they used to be. You sit down, fine dining, things you would never normally order. I'm going to get a lobster tail with every dinner because I can't. Nowadays, it's a glorified Golden Corral and Applebee's. It's not, it's not fine dining.
It's Golden Corral on the water.
Yeah, it's floating corral.
The floating corral.
Yeah. Any bloopers ever come up? Any big time thing? We said we were going to probably throw this one at you. That something that just went so horribly wrong, and you guys came out good, but you laugh about it to this day. And we've had
a lot of good stories. I mean,
I'll have to ponder that one and get back to you. the one thing that comes up was and this was definitely not a major promoter gig. This was playing for the 50th annual Leap for Lane, which is Lane, Kansas, I would think. And I don't know how we got there. I guess they offered us money to play there. We went out.
So we went.
Good for chicken wings.
The nearest hotel was like an hour and a half away in Mitchell. Is Mitchell? It's the home of the Corn Palace. Is it in Nebraska or Kansas? I think it might be in Nebraska. Anyway, we get to the gig, and the crew has been there and has warned everybody this is going to be a little different, a little challenging.
Uh-oh.
He's being so politically correct right now.
Too.
You're being so nice.
The power was a couple of tractors running generators off their power takeoff.
Oh my God!
That was the power. And then they had an extension cord running out to the console at front of house, and maybe another one for the lighting desk.
Sure.
So we're playing, and I don't even know how far into the show we were at this point, but they lost the PA.
Oh no.
And so it was Jeff and I, the drums and bass. I don't know. I still had there was still power on stage, but no PA. And George is like so frustrated. He didn't walk off, but he walked away, and he said, "You," just pointed at me, and that's like I had like a 25-minute bass solo. I don't take solos. I've never had solos in normal shows, but this was like. You're playing. George is just so frustrated with it. They finally got the front of house on, and we ended it. And I think that was it. We left, and the people out there, they were just so inebriated and having a good time. They didn't even
phase them.
Register.
That's awesome.
But that was
But to,
one of the.
But to think when you arrive at a venue, the last thing you're going to see is a tractor powering your generator.
Well, when we pull into the town and it says like the population of Lane was like 46 or something.
Okay.
Like but this thing had been going on for 50 years. It was a tradition. And they've been doing it forever, but we got there and it was a little unsettling. But out of that, we did get to the Corn Palace in Mitchell, Iowa, or Mitchell, South Dakota. I have to look it up because we actually went back and did a gig, I think maybe even twice in this place. The Corn Palace, they do it up with corn cobs, painted corn, and Google it and you'll see it is It is something, and we've actually played there in real gigs, but we discovered it because we were booked at a hotel there because it was the closest place to Leap for Lane.
The biggest ball of twine.
Yeah, well, I think that was down the road, but
right.
We didn't have a car that we could get there with, so I think it'll have to wait for another visit.
Better be careful. Somebody's going to book you there.
I know.
Well, and look at it this way: these people want entertainment. I mean, they like entertainment just like anybody else. So
exactly,
you go there. It's just that event we'll know next time.
Yeah, exactly.
That picture will be here because I found it. So yeah. So as we're talking, we will have the Corn Palace sitting here. It looks like something like it
changes every year.
It's like the Taj Mahal
or the Kremlin.
Yeah. They got these. Yeah, these. It's a world's only corn palace Yep, I'm looking at it right now. So, yeah, you guys can see that
crazy,
as you're
man.
looking right now. You'll be looking at it there.
That's awesome.
It's in Mitchell, South Dakota.
There you go.
They're closed
South
right
Dakota,
now.
okay.
They're not open at this hour.
Oh, they're not open at this hour?
Not at this hour. But,
right.
if you guys want to see it, it's at 604 North Main Street in Mitchell, South Dakota.
There you go.
605 is the Walmart.
Oh.
And,
Yeah.
And 605 and a half is
Chick-fil-A.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they give a whole new meaning to street corn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Oh man. So Bill,
So
what
other bloopers?
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. We had a period of time where we had a second guitar player before Jim Suler, a fellow by the name of Steve Krismar. And he was a good guitar player. And one night, we had a show, I think we were in D.C., and then the next show was in maybe Richmond, somewhere down south. Well, he ended up having a little too much fun, ended up in the ER with some getting stitches in his head.
Oh.
And so we don't know the real story of what happened, but when he showed up and he didn't make it to sound check because he took him a while to get down there. But that was fine because it gave the crew the opportunity to get the front row stage left primed for his first solo, when he goes to the front of the stage. Mm-hmm. The whole front row on his side had a bandage over their heads. and he was like,
I love it.
He was twerked. He couldn't get upset, and he had to finish the solo.
Right.
Dude, that's
awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be something I would
To
love.
think that the whole crew went, I got an idea.
Yeah, let's totally mess with him.
Yeah.
That's odd. See?
Well, he did endear himself to the crew because another time we were playing in Minneapolis, I believe, and they had sold around the sides of the stage, so they had to add extra speakers. So they just had these small, I guess they were wedges that they weren't using for us, and they put them up along the sides, and they had one propped up, and underneath it was his backup Les Paul guitar.
Uh-oh.
And about halfway through the show, oops. Speaker falls over, lands on the headstock. It ripped the truss rod down the back of the neck.
Oh, man.
He was pretty crushed.
So is his guitar.
So is his guitar.
And yes. And so for the following 4 or 5 shows after that, there was a tape outline of the guitar on the stage every night.
Here, like
a crime scene.
Oh, that's
awesome.
That's see, now this is perfect stuff right here. People wouldn't have known that.
They would have never guessed.
And this is that one of those moments you go, that's why that just made the show.
Yes.
Joey Allen crapping his pants on the Warrant tour. That was his show moment when he told us that one. So this is here. So not only is it, they're called the Destroyers because they destroy guitars.
Yes.
Yeah. Dreams.
It's a shame too. It was a beautiful Les Paul, but
he's probably got it in a crate in his garage.
Right.
That was his COVID project.
I imagine. I have no idea. I haven't talked to him in a long time after he left the operation, but yeah, he might have hung on to that.
George Thorogood and the Splinters. That's the new band, the Splinters.
No, that's his tribute band.
That's right. That's right. You've got a show coming up around here for the people that don't know it, June 28th.
Yep.
At Del Lago. Make sure that when you go there,
Get out there.
When you're standing in line, let everybody know you're there.
You.
You're there not to see George. You're there to see Bill.
Yeah.
And wear your have T-shirts made that said, "We're here to see Bill."
Yes.
Yeah. So when you go to Del Lago, have a shirt that says,
"Yep,
we're here to see Bill." George who?
Yeah, you want to do that. I want to get paid. I want to have a gig the following night.
Yeah, right?
I don't...
They'll show up the next day.
I appreciate you plugging the show, but you don't have to ruin my career.
At the same time.
All right, fine. You know what? Just let them know you're there to see Bill and you want an autograph.
I wouldn't even do that.
I'm kidding.
I'll meet you all at the buffet.
That's right.
There
yeah.
you
The Golden Corral Del Lago
buffet.
That's Del Lago.
Where is this?
It's
casino?
in Waterloo. I don't know if you are
between Syracuse and Rochester.
Yeah.
It's about 20 minutes outside of Syracuse. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
because Turning Stone is just south of
it's
there.
the other way.
No, that's
east.
66 miles east of Del Lago.
Yep.
I know that because Del Lago is 35 miles
from here,
from Syracuse, and
okay,
yeah, and Turning Stone is 32 miles from Syracuse.
Got it.
We're right in the middle. I know this because I am a throughway warrior.
Yeah,
I'm up and down the throughway all the time. So, but it's a beautiful. It
really
like
is.
You said,
it's a nice place.
Brand new PA system they just put in last year.
Wow.
Beautiful stage, nice arena.
Mm-hmm. There's not a bad seat in
no,
that
there's
place.
not a bad
really
seat in the house. And
no.
Yeah. And I think I know who might be doing backline if you use it. So she's on the show all the time. But the backline folks are friends of ours. So
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
We'll put them on the guest list.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we already tried that.
Yeah, we did.
Rev is like, well, I get a plus one or two, so just let us know when you're here. I'm like,
okay.
We will be there.
We'll reach out.
Remind me a couple days beforehand because nowadays we don't use written itineraries anymore where you turn the page and keep notes in it.
Yeah.
Now everything's on your phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
They change the information instantaneously, so you have no excuse for fucking up and forgetting where you're going. I didn't see it in the itinerary. It's on your phone, asshole. You get it every day.
Hey, let me ask you. I'm going to ask a question I've never asked anybody, but I've been talking about it. Like, what is one thing on your rider that you never really expect to see? Is there? Everybody's got that one little quirky item on the rider, and you're like, "Holy shit, they got it!" You know.
Yeah, there's stuff there. We don't update the rider. We probably are an embarrassment to the rock community because our rider is so sparse. I mean, there's things that probably should be taken off because nobody drinks Bud Light or Miller Lite anymore.
Right.
But that was probably 20 years ago. But that whole thing that don't eat the brown or no brown M&Ms is for what you say to see how well people pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. We had a tour manager that introduced us to that concept years ago, and he would just require 2 folding tables, 4 folding chairs, and he'd add the dimensions. And just to see if that, I mean, wasn't like crazy like the M&Ms or whatever. Sure. It was just these details to see if people actually read the riders. So we could put extravagant stuff on, but it comes out of our pocket, so why?
Right.
Yeah.
We found that this one, I'm not going to say the band, I know who it is, but they had put they wanted an autographed first edition of something. And then the band that they were getting an autographed copy of that album on their rider was this band's. So it was like, they'd send a picture. I got it. I got your album here. Right. And the only one person ever did it, and that was one of our backline folks here locally.
Yeah.
He's like, I searched for that thing for 3 months. I finally got it. And when I brought it in, they were like, are you kidding me? you actually found this? That's like the biggest joke on our rider is that no one's ever found it. And he's like, well, now you've got it. And he put it on the stage, put it on his bass amp. Yep. He had it sitting there the whole show, taking pictures with it and sending it to the artist who he got it from, So I was, it's
that's awesome.
I'm sorry, we're not that exciting. Because usually all the stuff that's on the rider and all the other requirements are show costs, and the show costs get paid before the act gets paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Or depending how the deals are structured. So I run up silly costs.
You never asked for like just one bourbon,
one scotch,
one
scotch,
beer, and maybe one beer. I was just wondering if
that might have been a thing years ago on the rider. I don't drink, so I would have been the scotch guy, but I don't.
Right.
Why that's $20 a day for a bottle of booze that I'm not going to drink.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Yeah.
And so we're out there to have fun, but we also would like to make money. So you kind of trim the expenses where you can.
Right.
I mean, if I'm going to spend money on something for the show, let's get that fancy microphone or the expensive backdrop or the video screens.
Sure.
All right, we'll spend the money on that. But silly things, let the big stars do that.
Yeah. Bill, I think you're an exception to the rule. You definitely have not. We've met some people on this show that have been just super down to earth like yourself.
Yes.
And then we've met some people that have not been
very so down to earth.
Let's get off this stupid podcast because it's been dumb and nonsensical. But we can't thank you enough for being on here.
Well, thanks for making it as painless as you have.
I told you.
I was scared to death.
No, we always ask if you want to come back. We would love to have you back. And tell even more stories. We'll pick up where we left off.
Let's check back after Australia in June, because I get back on the 23rd. I may recover by the time I drive back up to Plattsburgh.
Hey, you know what? Do you fly into Syracuse? Or do you fly in up there?
I fly in and out of Plattsburgh if I can, or Burlington, or Montreal if I'm doing international stuff, because that's only an hour.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm up in Plattsburgh a lot, so when you're back up there, we'll meet and I'll take you to lunch.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, that sounds great.
Perfect. There you go.
There you are.
Well,
give me $20.
We'll look for you.
No.
You got it.
No. What do you want?
Changing the name, the good, the cheap, and the ugly. That's what we're going to change the name of this show.
What do you want $20 for?
Hey,
for food, so we can buy him lunch.
$20 ain't covering it.
Well, I just figured that'd be your half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you're both not coming. Just one of you.
I don't want him to come. He's
fine.
No, we'll meet up with you. You kidding me?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'd love to.
I mean, we have a great selection of 3 restaurants to choose from.
Yeah, so. I know. Believe me, I have part of a motorcycle club, and we've got a chapter up there, and those guys are like, "Yeah, we'll come because there's like one place to eat." So
right.
Cool. Yeah.
What's the motorcycle club?
Hades Hounds.
I've seen that. But where do they? Where's their
club?
Or
their
clubhouse?
We've got 2. We got one that's actually more in Messina, at the reservation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we played out there. That was a gig.
Yeah.
We played out in the parking lot at the casino.
Oh.
They the guys that run a lot of that stuff. We have a pretty big chapter there on the reservation. Right. They're all Native Americans, and it's a party. It's a party and a half. So.
But there's nobody in. Is there a clubhouse in Plattsburgh?
Not in Plattsburgh, no. But they ride through a lot, because we have one in Watertown too. So they're riding. Riding through all the time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
cool.
We'll meet you up there, for sure.
All right, sounds good. I'm ready for lunch when y'all get up there, and it warms up.
Well, wait,
thank you very much.
In June,
he's
only got a couple days to recover. He's got to play a gig.
Yeah, well, we're going to see him June 28th.
You're right.
We're going to be at Del Lago.
Yep.
And thanks to Rev Jones. We're giving thanks to Rev Jones for hooking this up. Rev's a great guy, as you guys all know on the show, because he's had 2 or 3 episodes now, and we'll give him as many as he wants.
Yeah. He's got stories for days.
Oh, stories for days.
I know he does. He knows everybody. Everybody knows him.
Yes.
I don't know how he does it.
His music, the music from just the movie Rockstar alone.
Yeah.
I mean, that was great stuff, you know. And have you watched the videos of when he's really
getting into it?
When he used to have
the old Rev Jones.
With twirly thing. Holy
well, that's when he started with us in 2006. He was the lighting director, did lights.
Okay.
And he still had the dreads, all 3 of them.
Right.
and then he started playing bass on sound checks and line checks and stuff, and everybody would go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Where did he come from?
Yeah. He's done a lot of stuff.
He has.
He's played with a lot of
Ton
people.
Of stuff.
You know, and he actually played with it doesn't matter.
That band.
They were on here too. Waits for No One.
Elliot Waits for
No One. He played with those folks too. So so thanks to Rev Jones.
Yeah.
Peace out to him.
Okay.
And if
roads back to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's right.
and when we get there on the 28th, I only have one request.
What?
They have to play Gear Jammer.
Look at that face.
He's like, nope.
He's like, nope.
Nuh-uh.
That's like yelling out. That's like yelling out
not.
Freebird.
Oh no, it's not.
Well, hopefully, it's been in the show now for 35, 40 years. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Well, see now. So now, when you hear it, your little tiny ego can sit back and go, they played that for me.
Nah.
Nope.
I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
All right, Bill.
Stay in touch in touch with Rev too.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Don't go anywhere. We're going to roll out with our credits, and then we're going to say goodbye to you the right way. So, hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Hang on 1 sec.
Shut off the video.
Nope.
No.
Stay
right there.
Oh. All right. Okay.
Let's roll this music.
All right.
I love this song.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. You've been listening to The Good.
The band.
The Ugly. I'm still Big Papa.
I'm still just Jeff.
And that is Bill
Blough.
We want to thank our sponsors.
DJ Life's the Beach.
Uncle Jimmy's Local Live Music. Print Shop Underground.
And Black and Heart Tattoo.
Black and Heart Tattoo. Don't forget
Hogwash.
Hogwash. If you want your bike washed, because it's coming time.
Yep.
And let's never forget, ever,
Snarky Productions.
Toffee Break Toffee. Well, let's get to the Ultimate
good
Ears.
Stuff.
Ultimate Ears.
Ears. You can hear your own tears
with Ultimate Ears.
If
you want Ultimate Ears, don't forget, right here.
Contact them.
This kid is an ambassador and a dealer now.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We will be back next week.
Yep.
And remember what we always say.
Be good to each other.
Don't be dicks. Peace, everybody.
Recording stopped. Such a dick. Mm-hmm.
Recording stopped.
Oh, there it is.